Hello and welcome back to Perfect Job ERP, the ERP system designed especially for the custom stone industry. My name is Alan Barr and I'll be your host today in our look at the flow of information from the quoting phase through the phase where the job is staged for production. As a reminder, Perfect Job is a proprietary customization of the Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2013 ERP platform. At Perfect Job, we understand that the process of doing custom fabrication work is really the process of refining information from its initial presentation on bid documents to the very detailed information required for production. Now, because of this, Perfect Job has two distinct starting points for a job. Number one, where you know the approximate quantity and sizes of pieces that are required. Or number two, where you're estimating based on square footage or linear footage basis. Now, for the first option, where you have quantities and sizes to bid, we start the project off in what we call a detailed quote. For the second option, we have designed a worksheet where you're able to incorporate both linear footage and square footage quantities in your bid. Now, we'll have a separate demonstration devoted entirely to how these two quotes work, as well as other features of our quoting system, so stay tuned for that. For purposes of this demonstration, we're going to use an example that's based on a detailed quote. So I'm going to go to the Estimating and Sales button and then to the Bidding Status button. In my Bidding Status, I'm going to pull up a job that we've already started to do a little bit of work on, and that is called Graham Center. Now, we are going to just examine a couple of things here. We have the contract status of open, we have the job status of bidding. We're already populated our scope of work section with the scope of work items that are in our quote. We're satisfied with the quantities that we have on the quote and the sizes of pieces. And once we have the quote built in this manner, we can send it out to our customer. We can print a hard copy for faxing or mailing, or we could certainly print a PDF for emailing purposes. The last step prior to closing out the screen is that we're going to change the status, the job status, from bidding to what we're going to call current. Current is a word that we're going to use to associate this job with the next phase of its development, which is when it's going to enter into the sales process. So now we've finished our quote, and you'll notice that if we go over to the Estimating and Sales button and we click on the current status, you'll see all the jobs which are currently in the current status. Now we can assume that a little time has gone by and our sales work is paid off and our price is acceptable, and we find out that we've actually been awarded this job. So now we go to the Current tab where our job is currently residing within our Sales and Estimating navigation. And you may want to designate a particular employee to have the authority to do the following transaction. But what we're going to do once we've been awarded this job, we go up to our ribbon and we have a button that's called Make Contract, which once we activate that button, the job status changes to contracted. Now, this, in addition to just changing the status, Perfect Job has a number of trigger points that we can set up for you depending on your company policy. You can have a policy that if the job has a certain dollar value, over a certain dollar value, we may need to activate an approval request from upper management. We could also notify the drafting department that a new job is in-house. We can notify your project manager. These are all customizable features of Perfect Job that we can activate once the job arrives at the contracted status. Of course, one of the next steps that we take in the processing of our jobs is submitting product data, preparing shop drawings, submitting shop drawings. So for demonstration purposes, we're just going to assume that some time has passed, and now that our submittals have come back and our shop drawings have come back approved, we're ready to start talking about production, and we're ready to start talking about schedule. So our customer informs us, let's just go back into the job for a second. Our customer informs us that what the contractor really needs is about half of these base stones delivered in about 4 weeks. They need to start the front of the building, and they'd really like those stones sooner. The remainder of the product, the remainder of the job, they don't need for about 10 weeks. So we decide that we're going to use our phasing tool to phase the job. In addition to that, we notice on our shop drawings that there have been some slight modifications to dimensions on our pieces. So at this point, this is our main job screen for the order. We're going to adjust some of our final dimensions according to the corrected shop drawings. So we find out that our cornice length is 71 5/8 instead of 72. We find out that our returns are a little bit long. There's some feature on the job that we need to make a modification of our length there, and we find out that our base stones, we're just going to modify these for a dimension, for a joint arrangement. So that's fine. We've got our final dimensions input into the system, and now we're ready to phase this job according to the customer's desires. So the first step for us in terms of phasing is making sure that our scope of work is entirely correct. We then go up to the ribbon on the top of the page, and we're going to make a phased order. Do we want to generate a phased order? Yes. We're going to click through some inventory prompts, which we will get into in a further demonstration. And we have our phased order has been created. Now, in order to do our phasing, we go to our phase planning section. There's our job, the Graham Center. Right now, the default for phasing is, in terms of number of phases, indicated 1, and this being phase number 1. That's fine if there is just one phase to the job, but we're going to create a couple of different phases here. The first is going down into our scope of work section, and what we want to do is change the quantity for phase 1 of the base stones. We're going to change that to 17 because we know that's what our customer is requiring. Then we're actually going to zero out, and you're going to see what's going to happen here. We're going to zero out for this phase the other 2 lines because they're not required right now. So we're going to allow the system to delete that for this phase, and it's also going to ask us the question here. So we've come up with phase 1 to be just 17 pieces of base stone at the final dimension, which, when that looks correct to us, we're going to go and indicate, hit OK. Now, to prepare the second phase of the job, we're going to go back to our Contract Management tab and find our original contract document. And you're going to see what the system has done for us. we'll go down to our scope of work. The system has actually indicated for us that quantity remaining to order. So we've ordered 17 out of the 36 base stones. We still have 19 that are required on the job. Also, we have all the cornice pieces that are still required on the job. So at this point, we're going to create our second phase, which involves going back to the ribbon, making a phased order for phase number 2, clicking through our inventory prompts, and we see that we have a second phase created for the job, which we're going to go over to analyze our phase list, our phase production list, and we can see that phase 1 of 2 is the first phase that we created. And we could just double check that by opening that up and seeing that that is the 17 pieces. And then phase 2 of 2 is the second phase of the job, which was the entire cornice order and the remaining 19 pieces of. Now that we've created 2 phases of our job, we've actually accomplished quite a bit in terms of developing the job and phasing the job based on final dimensions and final schedule information. I think at this point we're going to end this demonstration, and we'll look forward to picking up in the next demonstration the process of creating a production order and how we flow the job and keep track of our production, and how we arrange for and prepare our bills of lading for shipping. So I wanted to thank you for joining me on our detailed walk through the process of creating a quote through production of a phased order. And I certainly look forward to you joining me on future demonstrations. If you have any questions about this presentation or would like to schedule your own full demonstration, please contact us through our website, www.perfectjoberp.com. Thank you.